Hi guys, welcome back. So we've got a lot going on this week. What started off as a long range shoot off between the 9015 and the XTi, I quickly got sidetracked, ended up building some custom targets, or certainly modifying and upgrading a few targets for the extreme range shooting. We've had another impromptu break in the weather, so here we are again. We're going to get the XTi back out again and try the new target that I've made. So let's get into it, shall we? Right then guys, this is the setup. So we've got the little mini camera tripod there to get a decent view. XTi, we've got the Arken on there now, and compared to the setup last year, I have got on here a 9015 trigger blade. We've also got a 20 MOA mount, which means I can dial actually out onto my crosshairs, give it 83 clicks or thereabouts, and we should be bang on zero. We're using JSB heavies from 2016, but unfortunately this end here is really quite sheltered. My wind indicator stick's doing nothing, but that wind is pushing through that middle quite heavily. It's probably gusting 12 to 14 mile an hour, so we're likely to get probably up to a foot of wind drift at times, and unfortunately I can't feel it, I barely can see it this end, so not quite sure how it's going to pan out, but we'll give it a go anyway. Right, the very top right of your screen is the target board. It's 100 yards measured. We've got the older JSB heavies that we used last year, straight from the tin, unweighed or anything like that. Going to try 20 magnification. I've given it 83 clicks from a 25 yard zero. Now this is why it's really crucial to have a big backstop. Hopefully we should be somewhere there. I'm just going to aim upwind a half a mil dot just to see if we can get onto the Crowzilla to start with, just see where we are. It's really grey as well. The camera makes it look a bit brighter, but it's really thick old air today. There was a storm last night, quite muggy. Okay, so a little bit low. Well, that's not too bad. That's a full mil dot of drift, but I've got no reference. I can't see anything. The range is now mowed, so I can really, I've got no telltales around me of what's going on. You're kidding me. 3/4 of a dot. I gave it a little bit extra holdover. Right, we better go and stand that up. Hopefully the GoPro's got that, and then we'll have another little go, shall we? Flipping yes. Right, at this point it's pretty much more luck than judgment. We need to try and do it a bit more consistently. I'm going to have a go on the old shoot and see targets as well, but I think at the moment we'll probably stick to the Crowzilla for the minute, because I can see those pellet strikes really quite well, get a better idea of what my aim point's doing. But completely middled that one. That's pretty good going. However, the wind can absolutely destroy you at any minute. I certainly can't feel it very well up the other end. So yeah, although we've hit it, I'd say probably a bit more luck than anything at the moment. Right, let's carry on, shall we? Right, that was quite unexpected. A bit of a fluke, if you will. Now we've got a few slight tweaks to the setup. It's a bit strange because last year I was using a combination of holdover on the scope and dialing. I was using a 66 yard zero and then holding over another 5 mil dots. So I had a lot of information around me. It was a bit of a cluttered sight picture, but it gave me a really good reference to aim off. Whereas I'm using the crosshairs now, it's quite hard to tell what's going on. Oh, that one went up way high. Now this elevation change is quite typical when you've got a bit of a chasing wind behind you. Now that is on my scope just under a half a mil dot, but of course at this range, a couple of inches. 2 out of 4 shots. Need to breathe, Tom. Right. We need to make something that auto resets for these longer ranges, I think, because keep walking back and forwards is not ideal. And the same with the GoPro. I can control the GoPro with the phone, but the Wi-Fi signal between the two doesn't reach this far, unfortunately. So maybe we need to look at some better longer range targets. Oh. Let's have another go, shall we? Go and get them set up and we'll carry on. 50% of them knock that 35 miller down. It is probably more luck than judgment at this point. I am making corrections for the wind every half a second. My aim point, if you were watching it, it's waving all over the place as I'm making corrections, but we've managed to get it 50% of the time so far. However, we're going to get the 9015 out now. We'll see what we can do with that. Now, that historically hasn't been as good as the XTi past 75 yards, but we have got the same ammo, so we'll give it a little go. We'll leave that as it is for the moment, and we might well just get a few shots out onto the target cards as well. So let's do that now, shall we? Right, trusty old 9015 now. Let's see if we can get this set up. Let's go for 20 mag. Okay, that looks about right. Maybe I want to use a bit more actually on this one. Now on paper, this should be the better option. It fits me better, the weight distribution is slightly better. Now of course, this was built to suit me. Everything fits me about as well as a rifle can fit me. What we're going to do, we need to give that, how many clicks have we got? All right, let's give it 80 clicks. And see where we are on the backboard. I don't know how well this was zeroed. I can't remember what we used last time. I'm just going to chuck a few down at that tape cross down there and see if we're anywhere near. We're aiming slap bang at the tape cross. The GoPro's not on at the moment. I just want to get a couple of shots off. I don't want to keep running back and forwards. Wow, we've just hit the crowzilla on his beak. And we're aiming at the top cross. Did we just, what? Maybe we need to check the power on this. It sounds like it's down a little bit, but it is a lot quieter, this rifle, with the shroud on. No idea. I think we went below his beak a little bit. Right, I've maxed out my elevation. We've got low mounts on here and we've got no MOA in the rail, so let's try again, just aiming at the tape cross. I wonder if we need to put a walther barrel into this one. Now of course this is designed primarily for indoor 10 metre shooting. It's got a marginally different twist rate to what the walther barrels have. It just doesn't shoot that well past sort of 55. In sort of FT configuration and HFT configuration, you really can't choose between them, but this certainly does seem to fall by the wayside a little bit as them ranges push out. I'm going to show you what we've just shot, but it's pretty poor unfortunately. But I'd really like to actually be able to improve this, so maybe I will end up doing a barrel swap into this. Maybe see if we can get an XTi50 barrel into this one, or one of the walther blanks, and see what we can do, because this fits me slightly better at the moment. It feels nice off of the bag here, but it's just not that great down the extreme ranges unfortunately. And this is where we was aiming to start with. This is the sort of wind drifts we're getting. Now with the XTi, I mean the conditions are not the same. The conditions have potentially deteriorated a little bit. I can't really tell there's much of a difference where I'm shooting from, but certainly walking through it feels like the wind has picked up a little bit. But this is the sort of drifts we're now getting, so we're getting well over a foot of drift as opposed to a number of inches. And it's a bit annoying because the 9015 fits me so well. It's super comfortable. I don't know whether you've noticed in any of the footage when you see that my trigger reaching and everything is absolutely perfect. Muscle memory is an absolute nightmare to deal with, and because I've had it for so long, that's the gun that I naturally, everything just feels absolutely spot on. Of course I built it to fit me, but it ain't that good damn range past sort of 55 yards. They're neck and neck at that sort of range, but past that it seems to open up. Now maybe it's something to do with the barrel twist rate, I don't know. However, I think we're going to go back to the XTi for a little bit. The wind is picking up a little bit, so it's very hard to say, yeah, that's worse than that. However, it's also very hard from where I'm shooting to tell the difference between the wind and adjust the drifts accordingly. So, yeah, pretty poor, pretty good. And shot his beak off with the... We was aiming up here. Yeah, not great. All right, let's get a couple more shots off with the XTi then. I wonder if we should try and get an XTi barrel, see if we can machine that up for the 9015. That might be a good idea. Right, it certainly feels like it has got a little bit more windy through the middle there. Just going to punt a couple at the tape cross. I'm aiming straight at the cross. We'll run a few shots off and see what we get. Look, they're stamped on exactly the same elevation line. Oh, where did that one go? That one just off to the left of the card. Right, let's see if we can take the centre out of that tape cross then, shall we? Where did that one go? I think that one's just skewed way off. Oh, did we just clip the... Oh, we just clipped... Ooh. We just clipped the top of the head of the Crowzilla. That one was a strange one. That one dropped really low. Don't like the paper targets at this range. Just the painted yellow of the Crowzilla works really well. Let's have another little shot. We're going to try and take the Crowzilla down. Oh, I felt that like the wind had died off a little bit then, and I actually looked past the back of the thing and I saw that everything was standing fairly upright, so I just gave it 1.5 mil. I was aiming up to the right a little bit to curl it in. What an absolute beast. Oh, that's really cool. Third shot in there, look, absolutely middled it again. So this is where I was aiming to start with. So this was giving us a typical wind drift of around 1.5 mil dots or thereabouts, but one of them, look, actually skewed way off and clipped him on the top of the head. So even with the XTi, we do occasionally get these ones that just randomly skew off. Now, was it a dodgy pellet? Did I just completely misrange the wind? Now at this point, I can't really get a good judge of the wind because I can't feel a lot of it or see a lot of it down my end. However, get a few sighting shots off, drop that one pretty well. It's really fun. I can't see this down the end though. You can't see these pellet strikes very well on the white card. Certainly this was basically completely obscuring my reticle because it's quite fat, so I think going forward we definitely need to do some more of this sort of the matte yellow targets. You can see these pellet splats really well. Super easy to then see where you're going, make corrections. But I've just quickly painted a little phoenix, and that's a 1-inch target. It's not going to drop, but at least we can see our pellet splats in there nicely. I've just wedged it behind the board at the moment, as you can see, so it's not going to fall down or anything like that, but at least we should be able to get nice clear defined pellet strikes on there. If we can get that, that'd be flipping amazing. Just gonna have a little go, shall we? Okay, so we're doing pretty well, a bit better than I was anticipating. That wind has almost spun round now from the left to the right, which is a bit strange. Just get a few sighting shots off on the Phoenix and see where we end up, shall we? I'll give it a mil dot and see what happens. Half. Oh my god, second shot again. We need some better targets, so I don't have to keep running back and forwards. I wonder if we can get some of a wire that auto reset. I don't know. This is pretty mental. Right, I've had a brainwave. I found the little fox target in the hedge line. It's completely rusted solid now. It's been out there years in the elements, but this is a traditional HFT and field target type target. So you hit the paddle the same as the Crowzilla and the whole thing falls flat, and then you pull your string to reset it and stand it back up. Now that's not what we want at longer ranges. Having a string that runs out the back there is going to be a problem. Hopefully you can see down there, you can see that we've got the faceplate here and we've got the little actual reset paddle attached with a little articulated link in the middle. Now I think if we remove that linkage there, we'll fix this upright, we'll have this moving, and even if we use something like an elastic band to hold the two together, when we get the pellet strikes on the plate it will flip, so we'll still see it on camera, but it won't then fall over and it will sort of self-reset, because ultimately all we need to do is actually see the pellet strikes. We don't necessarily need it to fall over. I think we can do something with that, turn it into something usable, because at the moment I can't run the strings out obviously all that way. So let's see if we can turn this into something cool, stick some googly eyes on him, shall we? Right, well, this video's taken a little turn. I hadn't anticipated that, but I'm starting to clean that up now. It's all a bit crusty. I've done a lot of that at the farm with the crap tools that I had up there, but I've managed to clean the faceplate off. I've actually taken out the little reset tab on there. So what I'm going to do is actually re-articulate that. Probably put a bolt straight through the centre so that's fixed solidly to the backing plate. Now what I reckon I can do, come here, 2 little strips of alley, I'm going to bolt them through there, so I'm going to tape them together and drill them as a pair, sit them on there like that, and that hopefully should give me a slightly revised pivot position for that, so I can sit it tight up behind the faceplate. Once that gets hit, it will pivot back, and I'm going to put maybe a little spring or an elastic band or something like that. So I'm going to get this drilled, tape all this together and see whether we can make it work, eh? Right, I've just loosely assembled it. I will need to change that nut over for a nylon locking one because we don't want to put too much tension on here. We want it to be fairly well sort of restrained, but we don't want it to be loose and work loose. That one can just be dogged up. However, we've now restricted the travel on the paddle itself. So it sits pretty close, hopefully you can see behind there. Right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to drill a hole through here, mark up the plate behind it and bolt them two together. Now what I may need to do is just gently splay open these folded round corners just so it's a nice tight fit, but the plan is it's going to get that on there, bolt it all up nice and tight so that and the base plate are effectively one piece. And then we need to find some sort of spring return system. Not sure. And then the fun bit, we get to clean it all up and paint it. Right, that's pretty stout. Right, I've given him a nice little fox paint scheme. I managed to get hold of some orange line marking paint. It's absolutely awful, but it looks pretty cool. I've primed all the back of the base, or at least given it a decent coating of hammerite to protect some of the bits that get rusty. The faceplate's now got some primer on there, but the wind has died right off to nothing, so we're actually going to go and shoot him now. I haven't fully finished it. I haven't finished the little spring reset mechanism on here. However, I reckon if I get a large bell, like a fire bell, when we have got a spring return on here, when this gets hit, we can get it to smack the large bell, have a comedy ring down range, and I think that'll work really well. But I'm going to get everything slung in the car quickly now, try and make the most of this little break in the wind. So I'll see you at the farm. Right then guys, it's day 2. We've had a couple of days break, but we've got a relatively low wind day now. I've got the sun right in my eyes. I can actually see quite a lot of mirage coming off of the ground. Quite interesting. The wind's pushing through quite hard at times. I don't think we actually hit the paddle of that. I think we've just got in a little bit to the left. Okay, so that's not too bad. I think we were quite lucky there. There weren't really a lot of wind drift there. Now the orange target, it's actually not too bad. There's quite good definition. It's a little bit lower than I'd like actually. Of course the Crowzilla's taller. We're also very, very close to the GoPro from this angle. So let's have a little go on the fox. See if we can get him. Oh, that was so close. We just 10 o'clocked him. Actually, you can't see the pellet splats on that very well at all. I kind of thought that would be the case, being as he's darker. It's quite interesting actually, because I can see a bit of heat haze coming up off of the grass, and I can sort of see what that's doing in the wind almost actually. Wow. The wind's blowing the other way down the other end. We've got a bit of left to right here, and we've got a bit of right to left up the other end. Finally! Don't panic, I'll leave all of those misses in. A lot of people always ask if I ever edit the shots, and I've never once on the channel removed the dodgy shot. They've always stayed in. Alright, take 2, we need to move the old GoPro out of the way. I'm basically aiming directly at that to curl the shots in, and I don't really feel that comfortable with that. So unfortunately we've not hit the fox yet. It's actually quite hard to see those pellet strikes, as you'd imagine, on the orange paint, so the yellow's definitely better. We've hit the Crowzilla once, we've had a few that have gone past into the backboard, but that wind's really picking up now, so I'm going to move the GoPro, have a few more shots, and then we may well knock it on the head for the day, because that wind is proving pretty tricky. Did shoot his tail off though. maybe we'll see if we can stamp an eye on him, shall we? Right then guys, we're back. That was really challenging. That wind was all over the place. To be honest, it was really quite hard work just judging it. I need to get some additional flags out and stuff like that as well. Now, I have the wind indicator stick on the opposite side of the rifle so you can see what's going on, but I'm doing all of that, just judging the wind on my face and looking for telltales around, but I certainly think at the longer ranges a few wind flags would be a good option. Now, we didn't manage to actually hit the fox after all. We got the old Crowzilla once out of 20-30 shots, so not great, but most of them stayed on the targets within a sort of a safe area, so you can certainly see why having that big backstop's a really safe idea. I'm going to carry on modifying this one off camera. We're going to use the original sort of full flat spring for the target. We're going to carry on with this setup so it holds the paddle up against the back of the back plate, and then I'm going to look for a large bell because I think that'd be quite fun, and then we'll get a really nice downrange ring if we actually do eventually hit it. So after that, I've got to do a bit more work. This is the CZ barrel, so this is an S200 barrel that fits the 9015. I'm going to do a little bit more work with this one, get it all prepped again, and then start doing some testing with this at the longer ranges. The factory barrel in the 9015 just doesn't cut it at the longer ranges. Past about 65 yards, it really starts to struggle. So we'll carry on with this one first before we look at any other barrel options, because the 9015 fits me so much better off the deck at the moment. Eventually, we'll be able to get a chassis onto the XTi. Hopefully then scores, targets will all get better at range even more so. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, all that sort of stuff if you fancy it. Catch you in the next one.